Good afternoon and welcome back to my channel. My name is Caitlin and this is KTXX22 Reading. And how the hell are ya? It's been a minute that I have filmed a review or anything because life is just busy. My son started crawling within the past week, so we just chase him around. Like, that's the life of a parent, apparently. Today, I wanted to come at you with a video review for One to Watch by Kate Stayman-London because I got some issues. And I got some issues with this book. I don't understand why it's so difficult for people to give plus size representation without the need to drag plus size women and or cause undue trauma with the things that they're writing about. If you're not familiar with the premise of this book, it is a fictionalized version of The Bachelorette. I don't know, I don't watch any of those shows on TV, where our main character B writes a scathing review for their lack of body diversity, and because of that they approach her about being on the next season or being the next season's main person for the show. Worst case scenario, she goes home without anybody and she gets all of the positive benefits from being on television, larger following for her fashion blog, potential modeling gigs and or sponsorships with people who create things for her. So of course she's gonna be like, yeah, I'm gonna do this. Not to mention that she is just fresh off of a disappointment with a longtime friend of hers. And I'm gonna call it a disappointment because she's not in a relationship with this person. He is a friend of hers and has been for many, many years. And this causes her to basically mourn the loss of this person who was never really in her life. So I had a big issue with that because that is something that I personally have gone through when it comes to having an ex-boyfriend who was very verbally and mentally abusive when it came to, I want you when I want you, and when I don't want you, I don't want to talk to you. But don't date anybody else because I need you in my life. So yeah, that was triggering for me, and I thought, I can get past this, not a big deal, especially if like she gets him in the end or whatever. Because when the book starts off, B becomes this like, the first 10% of the book, let's be real, first 10% of the book loved, because I thought, oh my gosh, she is fabulous, she is fierce, she loves who she is as a person. And yes, she's got this complicated, unfortunate situation going on that I just previously mentioned. But I can look past that because can relate. Girl can relate. The biggest issue that I have though is, while the internet trolling comments that are depicted in this book are highly accurate for any person of size who's in the public eye, I was like, okay, that's fine. Like that is what happens. It would have been so much better had we not been in B's perspective, because she portrays herself to the world as this badass, I love myself person, and then we spend 80% of this book where she contradicts that. She contradicts how she feels about herself. She contradicts her situation. She is highly negative. She is very downward talking to herself and to other folks. And you know, just size phobic in general. She's very nasty to women who are not plus sized. On top of the fact that we're never told what size B is. Like, we have no idea if she's a size 12 who thinks that she is grotesque, or if she is a size 24 and is living in the world where people and clothing companies do not make clothes for her. she's a very androgynous size, which I get was probably done so that it fits anybody who calls them, any persons who would call themselves plus size or would fit into that. But it can be fairly harming. B goes into this show to find, you know, her main squeeze. She asks the show producer that she wants diverse people as her suitors. And me read diverse as diverse in the sense of their ethnicity, religious orientation, but also body diversity, because it's important to show that people of all shapes and sizes are able to find love, and you don't have to be the perfect looking male or female to find love with somebody else. Unfortunately, that's not how TV works. And that's another rant that I'll go on at some point in time, but not right now because I'm still getting to the point of it. The problem is that the perceived racial diversity is mentioned one time. So much so to the fact that if you were not paying attention and or if you were reading it fairly quickly, you might have missed it. Like I did with one of the main characters who I was watching reviews yesterday, and somebody made mention that one of the main characters is an Asian representation. And I was like, but where? Where was that mentioned? Because it's never mentioned again. Never. It's never ever mentioned again. You get no descriptions of their skin tone or, you know, their beautiful almond shaped eyes, or I don't even care. Like, I don't know how it's supposed to be depicted, but it was not. It was a blurb like, oh, I checked my Asian representation box. Oh, I checked my African American representation. Oh, Latino. Check. Checking down the list. I have just so many problems with this book. I was very conflicted because when I don't typically read romance. I am not a romance reader. I do not enjoy it. I do find them incredibly cheesy, and most of the time it's like, But I was really in the mood because there aren't enough books about plus size people out there, especially where we're painted as a normal human being who has a life. I mean, come on. I've been plus size my whole life, and even when I was at my fittest, thinnest, etc., I was still plus size. So authors, get on it, be about it, step up your game. On top of the internet trolling, you end up with verbal trolling and insults that are things that people of size do not deserve to read about or be constantly reminded that these are the nasty things that people say about plus size humans. There's no place at the table for that. If you're gonna give me internet trolling and you're gonna give me a shitty ex-boyfriend, okay, I can handle that. But then you pile on verbal nastiness and snide jokes and comments on top of B's negative self-inner monologue that you get the whole time. It is like a verbal mental barrage on a person of size. And that's 80% of the book. So here I am thinking I'm going in to read this fabulous romance novel where there's a plus size woman and she's going to meet the lover of her life, whatever he looks like, etc. And I get this barrage of bullshit, negativity. And obviously, clearly I'm upset. I'm upset by that. And I'll slather on another point. The one male love interest on the TV show that is a person of size, instead of him being who he's perceived to be throughout the majority of the book, ends up being this nasty, horrible, terrible person, which just makes men of size who need more representation look like shitty people. Why would you even write that? Why would you even put the token fat guy character in there if you're not going to give him a chance to be a human being. The ending of the book, this person who you meet at the beginning of the book, the first 10% of the book, she miraculously shows back up at the end of the book like, hey, how's it going? I'm this badass bitch and I do what I want and I have made my decision. But it's so unbelievable because you've just spent 80% of the book with this negative self-talk, immature. She's 30 and she sounds like she's 20 years old and doesn't know what she's doing with her life. Not like she is a successful badass boss bitch who runs her life and runs her business. So clearly I didn't enjoy this. I'm a little mad. I'm a little mad because you need to do better. You need to do better. You need to portray plus size individuals as, you know, what we are. Not some bullshit. And certainly not something that's going to reiterate or confirm their negative self-beliefs that they might be struggling with that could potentially trigger negative self-talk. I'm gonna give this a 1 out of 5. I thought about it. I finished it yesterday morning and I was like literally 30 minutes away from finishing it the night before, but I needed to sit on it for a minute. A 1 out of 5 rating is as good as it's gonna get because 1, I finished it and I'm not giving it no rating. And 2, I hope that more people of size speak out and let the author know that while this had the potential to be something amazing and fantastic, it's not that. It's not that. And I'll be interested to know if you are somebody who've read this book and you enjoyed this book, why you enjoyed this book, and not from like me being like, why did you like this book, but more from me genuinely wanting to know what you enjoyed about this book. I'm not a fan of The Bachelor or The Bachelorette, so I don't know if that's even accurate information, but I can speak as a plus size woman that the majority of this book is very harming and it triggered me. I don't get triggered very often, but this triggered me. The show Shrill on Hulu also triggered me. And I remember like just being like really mad. Like I don't remember the last time I literally was like, fuck that guy, he's a terrible human being. And this is me like listening to this audiobook and just cussing. And my husband comes downstairs and he's like, are you okay? Like, what's going on? And I'm like, I'm just really upset. I'm upset about this book. So do I recommend? No. Do I think that there needs to be other books? And if you know of other books, please recommend them to me because this was trash. Anyway, like, subscribe, all of the good stuff. I apologize, this was a rant review and it obviously has gone on for far too long. But hopefully my kid gives me a break so that I can review some other really awesome books that I've read and or come at you with a TBR for the next month because I am already planning. Hey! Have a good day, guys, and I will see you in the next